In this video, I'm going to show you how to overcome perhaps your greatest limitation. It's the limitation that holds the key to all of the other little limitations that are getting in your way of creating the life that you want, transforming into the person you want to become, and overall just getting what it is that you want. Over the past several years, I have had businesses, I've managed people, I've coached clients, and I've done a lot of work on myself, and I've identified what this limitation is. When you learn how to overcome this limitation, your life will start to change dramatically. So stay tuned. Hey, this is Damon Cart bringing you cutting-edge tools, processes, and techniques to help you create the life that you want to live and become the person you want to be by mastering your life. So if that sounds good, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. I was working with a marketing person, a person who I had hired to do some marketing for me. And we were launching a campaign and I was putting a lot of money into it and we weren't getting the results that we wanted. And by the end of the campaign, we fell way short of getting the results that we wanted to get. And so I started questioning him about what happened. I was questioning him about the things that he had done, and I wasn't questioning his competence, but he took it that way, and he got very defensive. And instead of just saying, hey, I'll look into that, or I'm trying to figure it out, he instead started to push the blame on me and started making excuses, like maybe it was something that I had done something different in whatever processes that I was doing. And immediately I started to get angry, and instead of getting angry, I knew I needed to talk to him. So instead of texting, that's how we were conversing. So I got him on a call and I said, this conversation is going to determine whether or not you continue working for me. And I'm going to say things to you that are going to make you defensive, but that's not the point of anything I'm about to tell you. And I said, when you give me excuses, when you don't own your work, what you're basically telling me is, I didn't make any mistakes, so there's nothing here to improve on. There's nothing here to correct. Now, we all make mistakes. I don't expect anybody to be flawless. I don't care how much money I'm paying them. I know that people make mistakes, and especially small mistakes. I can overlook those easily. What I can't overlook, though, I can't overlook when somebody makes excuses, because then I know we're stuck. Then I know we're not going to improve. Then I know we're not going to get better. And so I laid all this out to him. I put it all out there, and thankfully he shifted. And it had nothing to do with whether or not he was competent. I think that's how he took it as I was attacking him. I wasn't. But when he understood that that's not what I was doing, that I just needed him to own his work, because in owning his work, he would improve it. As long as I accepted his excuses, that's all he needed to do, is make excuses, not give me results. And that's what we train people to do when we accept their excuses. What we tell them is, I don't need you to put in the effort to getting the result. I just need you to give me a reason, even if it doesn't make any sense, even if it's not true, I will accept your excuse. And the mind is hardwired to take shortcuts. So even if your intentions are good, your mind goes, oh, we can take a shortcut here. We don't have to expend the energy and the focus and the effort and the time to go find out what happened. All we need to do is come up with a decent excuse, and we can shortcut all of that. So in other words, if I had accepted his excuse, I'm training him to make excuses, not give me results. Now, the same thing happens when we do this for ourselves. If you can imagine, your conscious mind is managing the rest of you. And when you don't do something you wanted to do, or you don't take action on something, and instead you make an excuse, you're basically training yourself to make excuses and not take action. Again, you got to remember, your brain is hardwired to take shortcuts. If there's a quicker way that takes less time and less energy, your mind is automatically gravitating into it. That's why we create habits. We create habits so that we can automate things, so we're not constantly having to make the same decisions over and over again. Now, this is a good thing. This is part of what makes us intelligent beings. We can set things on automation. But you've got to be careful about what you're setting on automation. You have to be careful about what you are habituating. You've got to be careful about what you're training your mind to do. And if you're training your mind that excuses are acceptable, instead of action, you're going to get excuses. And I don't know of anybody who is successful from making great excuses. Think about all the people who are very talented, who have enormous potential, who are very capable people, but they never do anything. Why? Because really smart people can come up with some really smart excuses. And when they do that, and it's very convincing, they can fool themselves, they can fool a lot of people around them. But does that get them any closer to what they want? Does that help them create the success that they want? Does it help them achieve goals? Does it help them actualize the vision that they have for their life? Absolutely not. I'm sure you've heard people say, do you want to be right or do you want to get what you want? Now, that doesn't 100% apply to what I'm talking about here, but it's connected. So you can be right about something, but you're not going to get what you want. And so a great excuse falls into that category. You can have a great excuse that makes you sound right, but it will not get you what you want. So from this point forward, give yourself different instructions. From this point forward, train yourself that anytime you make an excuse about anything, you stop yourself and say, okay, that's not true, and own it. This is not about blame. So this is going back to the story that I told about the marketing guy. He thought I was blaming him. And in certain ways you could define what I did as blame, but that's not where I was coming from. I was coming from a place of, I know you're capable. I know you're intelligent. What I need from you is to help me solve this. We need to solve this together, or I need you to own your work so that we can then move forward. We can improve on this. But as long as I accepted his excuses, that wasn't going to happen. And as long as I accept my own excuses, I can't improve myself because I'm constantly deflecting it. I'm constantly saying, that's not my fault. I'm not to blame for that. I'm not responsible. And as long as I keep saying that, I'm basically making it impossible for me to improve because I've told myself, I've got myself to believe that, well, it's not up to me. I have no control over this. Someone else does, or it's up to the situation. And that makes me powerless. That takes the control away from me, and then I'm stuck, and then I don't do anything. But if I train myself to say, no, I'm not going to accept any excuses, and I'm going to own this, and I'm going to do something that I have control over. I mean, I don't have control over everything. I don't control people, but I do have control over me, and I can take some sort of action. I can do something different than what I did that didn't produce the result that I wanted. So in owning that, I can then, it automatically will propel you to do something different. So next time, you can even try right now. If you can think of an excuse that you've made recently for something, whatever it was, and take away that excuse and fully own what happened. Now, a lot of people will have a hard time with this because this gets into the ego, this gets into the blame and shame, and for some people, the idea of being wrong about something is worse than death. But it's time to get over that. Being wrong doesn't really harm you. Being wrong or accepting that you made a mistake or that you did something that didn't work out very well, this is maturity. This grows you up. This makes you take responsibility for who you are, for your life, and for your actions. And when you're doing that, when you're taking total responsibility, radical responsibility, your life becomes about action. You don't have time for blame. You don't have time to feel bad about your mistakes. You don't have time to feel wrong about anything. You just do. You take action. You shift your life. You move your life ahead when you own what it is that you do and you stop making excuses. So from this point forward, no longer accept excuses from yourself, and don't accept it from anybody else. And you got to choose your battles. So anytime you hear somebody making an excuse, if it has no bearing on you, you might want to just leave it alone. But if you're an employer, or you have kids, or you need someone to do something where they need to take responsibility for what they did, just remember, if you accept their excuse, you're training them to give you excuses. You're training them that it's easier for them to present an excuse. Now, some people might be tough to deal with. So when you're influencing people who you work with, or even sometimes even in sales, you can do this, and they give you an excuse and you don't accept it, they might bear down and try to defend it. But and that's fine. Let them do that. Okay, you can, and fight with them a little bit. What you want to do is you want to show them that it's harder for them to make an excuse than it is to just own the work and go make the correction. That's what it is. What's happening is that they're trying to shortcut the process. They're looking for the easy way out. They're looking for the choice that's going to take up the least amount of energy, the least amount of effort, and take the least amount of time. Well, if you give them trouble and you don't accept their excuse, then their mind goes, okay, making excuses is going to cause more trouble. Making excuses is going to take more time, more effort, more energy. I might as well just own it and go make the correction. So that's how you're going to influence others in this process. That's how you're going to get over that limitation with dealing with others. But to overcome your own limitation, you have to treat yourself the same way. And lots of people aren't willing to do that. Be the exception though. Think about this. If you never made an excuse ever again, if you never accepted another excuse from yourself ever again, how would your life be different? Imagine that. Wouldn't that be incredible? Instead of wasting your time and energy on excuses, you own it and you do something about it. Check out my website, lifemasterygym.com. There you will find some free training, so absolutely take advantage of that. And then also you'll get to see some of the other things that I do, some of the other trainings that I put on throughout the year. If you like this video, please click like right down here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. And you'll want to hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when these videos come out, which is pretty much every Wednesday. Sometimes I do bonus videos as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.